And you know what time it is? It's time for KP's Video News. KP's Video News, y'all. KP's Video News, y'all.
Trunks up, y'all. Trunks up.
Video News, y'all.
Right. Trunks up. Trunks up, baby. Trunks up. What's up with you? It's KP's Video News, y'all. I'm trying to get busy here. Excuse me for being so clumsy. I'm dropping stuff and knocking stuff over and messing up my newsroom over here. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to get busy with this story here, this first story. And it only goes to show you about the double standard in what's going on in this country. And this particular double standard applies to a black police officer that was fired from the police department in Lexington, Kentucky. So, black police officer has been fired from the Lexington Police Department after an investigation found that he allegedly provided information to a local Black Lives Matter protester. Officer Jervis Middleton was accused of harboring deep resentment towards some of the officers at the Lexington Police Department due to years of racist insults and demeaning language, according to the 14-page document from the Public Integrity Unit. And frustrated that little was being done to address what he and other black officers were facing, Middleton began sharing information about police activity with Lexington protester Sarah Williams. It's alleged his longtime friend. And the report also included Facebook messages between the two where Middleton complains about the discrimination he dealt with as a black officer, and he told Williams about the internal gossip among other officers, including scandals over racism and sexual misconduct. When the protests in response to the George Floyd's killing kicked off in May 2020, Middleton gave Williams specific misconduct allegations or gossip to yell at certain officers during the demonstrations, which Williams did multiple times. He also told her when police would have riot gear and monitored the police radio when the protests to help Williams. One of the most serious violations they claim is that alleged on the report was when Middleton offered to help Williams spot undercover officers mixed in with the protesters. And the Lexington Fayette County Council announced that Middleton was fired following a 9-hour trial and review by the Lexington Police Chiefs Lawrence Weathers and an internal police disciplinary board. The council unanimously found him guilty of 2 administrative charges, but not guilty of the 3rd charge. And the ACLU slammed the decision to fire Middleton. And the ACLU of Kentucky is concerned that the Lexington Lafayette Urban County Council fired Officer Jervis Middleton amidst long-standing calls for a racial transformation of policing and transparent relationships with the public. So, while Officer Middleton's actions may warrant some level of disciplinary action, it is particularly concerning he was more swiftly investigated and harshly punished for sharing non-critical information than officers who use excessive force against protesters or create the culture of racism and hostility, Middleton reported, to no avail. So, so they listed multiple instances where Williams was on video using bullhorns to yell allegations that certain officers, no officers were ever injured due to the information Middleton provided to Williams, and much of the report focuses on the shame and anger officers felt about being accused of racism and sexual misconduct. There are several other incidents that also find concerning, but feel those can be summarized. These instances can be categorized as an overall negative tone towards the Lexington Police Department, the command staff, and employees that work here by consistently using profanity and negative comments about them. So the information he provided to Williams appears to not only support her cause, but encourage her to continue to protest and use the information to directly affect officers working. He was asked why he couldn't, and his response was, again, he was venting, and because we were looking at it through a different lens, we couldn't understand the context of the conversation. Investigators were also angry that Middleton initially lied about most of his actions when pressed by police. It was only after he was shown the Facebook messages that he admitted to some of what happened. Keith Sparks, a lawyer for Middleton, called it completely unfounded to use a warrant to get the information from Williams, who was arrested last summer on charges related to the riot, starting a riot. The only harm is imagined harm, stated, and Middleton faced repeated race-based insults, including one instance where a white officer told him to turn your black ass face around. According to Sparks, the officer who hurled that insult is now a lieutenant. So the people that's been hurling the insults at the black cop, they moving up in rank, but the black cop that's been protesting against the racial disparity that's going on in the Middleton Police Department has been fired. So, simply put it, the protest organizers should know whether and under what circumstances SWAT units or police will be deployed. Clear channels of communication and shared expectations make these tense situations safer for police protesters and bystanders. So why does that commission feel that this information is so dangerous if shared? The ACLU argued that Middleton was tired of his allegations of racism falling on deaf ears, so he thought Williams' public call-outs might serve as some kind of accountability. But instead, he ended up losing his job. I'm telling you, man, there's a lot of crap going on. There's a lot of stuff you people need to really wake up. You know, really need to wake up. And people, I'm talking about people in Georgia now, all my folks that live in Atlanta and parts of Georgia, this is coming to you, because the Georgia Republicans will, they're trying to ensure election integrity by making voting whites only. They're trying to make it white only voting over there. So here's a statement from the Georgia GOP defending its draft of the new voter suppression laws. Recently, many of our citizens have expressed a lack of faith and integrity in our current election system. We have heard these concerns voiced by many, and addressing these concerns has been at the forefront of our legislative efforts this year to promote the good of this state. We have spent several hundred hours thoroughly researching and comparing practices across the entire United States, searching for solutions to restore the integrity of the elections in Georgia, and we encourage all citizens to practice their civic duty, and in return is our responsibility to ensure public confidence and trust in the system, ensuring the rights are protected. Having lied to their supporters for months about widespread electoral fraud, Republicans will now address this lack of faith and integrity in our current election system by shoving through a slew of bills making it harder to vote in Georgia. And so what kind of shameless hacks will whip around their constituents into a panic about non-existent demons and then use this panic as a political tool to suppress minority votes? By sheer coincidence, these new laws will have the greater effect on poor people of color and urban voters. But that has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that Republicans just lost 2 Senate seats in Georgia and voted Joe Biden in a presidential election. Thanks to Stacey Abrams' tireless voter turnout efforts, these are selfless public servants only seeking to protect the vote from evil fraud gremlins. The furthest thing from their minds would be the polls in 2020 when Georgia holds elections for major state offices and Raphael Warnock's Senate seat. Republicans control both chambers in Georgia's legislature, and they're both getting in on the voter suppression fund. House Bill 531 restricts early voting to regular business hours plus one Saturday, which would eliminate Sunday. And so to the polls events when black churches arrange voting caravans. Execute Director of Common Cause Georgia described the bill as a Jim Crow with a suit and tie. It also shrinks the window for both early voting and absentee ballot requests, limits the use of drop boxes, and replaces signature matching to verify absentee ballots with a requirement that voters submit a copy of a photo ID. And to top it all off, the bill bars jurisdictions from accepting outside funding to modernize their election systems. In a nod to the crap cases that allege that Mark Zuckerberg bought Democratic votes because the Center for Tech and Civic Life, which is funded by Chan Zuckerberg Initiative, awards grants to update voting technology and to increase voter access. The Senate version is even worse. That measure, which passed just past Tuesday, eliminates no excuse absentee voting and imposes witness and photo ID requirements on the few voters who are elderly or physically absent from the jurisdiction and therefore eligible to cast their ballots by mail. It also shortens the window for counties to complete their vote tally, a burden that will fall heaviest on populous urban jurisdictions that may not be able to comply and face the prospect of disenfranchising their voters if they can't meet the deadline. There's also a bizarre provision to allow the legislature to step in and hijack the tabulation process at will by removing county elections officials within 15 days after receiving a recommendation of the superintendent's removal from office from the state elections board. And in accordance with the subsection of this code section, the legislative delegation by majority may vote temporarily to remove such election superintendent from exercising his or her duties in accordance with this code section, the duties of which election superintendent shall be filled by the period of suspension by the legislature's delegations appointed temporary election superintendent. In making such appointment, the legislative delegation by majority vote shall select a person or persons who have experience or training in managing and conducting elections to serve as temporary election superintendent. Wow, man, they going all out. They're going all out to suppress the vote down in Georgia, man. Look out. The people got to get out there, get registered. And so if it means you got to stand in line, for hours, man. Wow. Well, I'm telling you, they are going all out on that one. All out. So folks down there got to get ready, man. In the state of Georgia, got to get ready. Because 2022, they're going to really, really try to put the sticks on you, man. They're going to really do it. And so I'm going to try to summarize this one. They have lawyers that have found the parents of 105 separated migrant children in the past month. The parents of 506 separated migrant children still haven't been found. However, lawyers said the parents of 322 of them will likely have been deported. So the lawyers working to reunite immigrant parents with children separated by the Trump administration reported Wednesday that they have found the parents of 105 children in the past month. The steering committee of pro bono lawyers and advocates working on reunification said it had yet to find the parents of 506 children, down from 611 on January 14th. The last time it reported data to a federal judge overseeing the process. The lawyers said the parents of about 322 of the 506 children have been deported, making it difficult to find them and the lawyers are not required by the judge to say how many of the parents and children have been reunited. And the Biden administration recently formed a task force that will place the responsibility of finding and reuniting the families separated by the Trump administration, primarily under the zero tolerance policy of 2018, into the hands of the federal government. In their court filing Wednesday, lawyers representing the separated families and working to reunite them said they will work with the task force, and they're going to try to do whatever they can to try to reunite these kids, man. I mean, you talk about some demonic stuff, man, when you start separating babies from their parents and then deport the parents. So that means these kids are somewhere here in the United States, obviously handed over to God knows who. Could be pedophiles, it could be anybody. Kids for sale. Other people's kids for sale here. It's crazy, man. I'm telling you. That Trump administration did so much dirt. Now we got to try to clean up all the dirt that they did, and it's going to take decades. And so this is the last story on this one. We got a cowgirl, black cowgirl that was confronted by her race. She confronted her racist peers, and then she became Arkansas' first black rodeo queen. And Jediah Kirsch, and she's a native of Fort Smith, Arkansas, and she's been a cowgirl since she was a kid. Since she was like 6 years old, she's been riding horses. And so anyway, she by the time she was 16 years old, she was accomplished equestrian and joined the Old Fort Days Dandies, a rodeo group founded in 1977. As a Pony Express rider, Kirsch was expected to memorize a 3 to 4 minute speech, intimately know horsemanship patterns, and obtain a diverse wardrobe, among other things. So much work goes into preparing for rodeo and rodeo queen pageants. If you're not preparing 2 or 3 months to the day of the pageant, you probably won't be prepared, she explains. And but Kirsch's 2-year run with the Dandies was taxing, and being the only black member took more than a toll than she expected. She experienced racism for the first time, with her peers repeatedly hurling nasty taunts her way. One time, a teammate brother took a photo of her wearing a neon green helmet and called her Negro Bob the Builder. On social media, she remembers being called a monkey and parents trying to get her kicked off the team because of her color of her skin. The last straw came when she found out that there was a group message among her teammates dedicated to bashing her. And that day she was actually getting ready to quit the team, and the coach begged her to stay. But she stated that the only way she would stay was if she was able to talk to all the teammates and their parents. And that next Sunday at practice, we had a mandatory meeting, and the rodeo board came down, and I wrote my own letter, and I said in front of 40 people about the way that they made her feel at 16 years old. And I let them know, you guys didn't like me because I was black. And I've never experienced this until I was on a team with girls who didn't look like me. And Kirsch persevered on the team, and in 2017 she was crowned Miss Rodeo Coal Hill, becoming the first black woman to gain the title. I haven't been to a pageant and had that same feeling. It was awesome, and I was just doing what she loves, she recalled. While the recognition is great, Kirsch still endures bias with the rodeo industry and would love to see a diversity in judging. She also like more participants who look like her to join in hopes of to serve as an inspiration. I can give any little girl any advice that I would have wanted someone to give me is to never allow someone to mute you, and that's something I've always kind of done in my life. So that has lived with me. Speak up for yourself and be unapologetically you, she suggests. And that's my feel-good story for the day. And she's gone on to become the rodeo queen. And she fought through her adversaries over there. Whether they liked her or not, she went ahead and did what she had to do. Did what she had to do what she had to do to make it. That's right, folks. You got to fight sometimes. KP Video News, y'all.
KP Video News, y'all.
Our History Month. It's our History Month.
KP Video News, y'all.
Trunks up.
KP Video News.
Trunks up.